These are little kale seedlings that I started inside, and I was hoping that it would do well and I could transplant them outside when the weather got cooler. Here I'm preparing the soil and digging little holes to put the seedlings in. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough root mass to hold the soil when I transplanted them. The seedlings got a little bit too leggy before I could get to it, but I managed to dig a little hole with my spoon and place it deep enough where I thought the plant would get enough support. It was a tedious, slow job, but I think it'll be worth it since I didn't have any wasted seeds and I didn't have to be concerned about the birds coming and eating the little seeds. I should have wet the containers in the soil before turning the container upside down because the soil just flaked away from the root mass, and that's how I got to where I'm at right now. After finishing the transplant, I carefully watered the seedlings so that they would not droop over when the water hit them. I watered them very carefully and very slowly, making sure that the plants remained upright during and after the watering process. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure that the soil around the roots was thoroughly wet. After finishing transplanting the kale, I started to take a closer look at the zucchini plants and noticed that they looked, to me, quite healthy and vibrant, but they weren't producing any more flowers, at least no female flowers. So I thought that, well, maybe it's time to dig them up. But before removing them from the pot, I wanted to harvest the remaining zucchinis on the plant. The zucchinis that remained on the plant were small and somewhat deformed, but they're still good to eat. Here's an example of how small the zucchinis got to be towards the end of the lifespan of the plant. And here is the last zucchini that was harvested from my zucchini plants. And here I am pulling out the zucchini by the roots from the pot. This particular plant came out real easy. Not much there at all. Nice green plant, it's not producing anymore. I was proud that I was able to actually get any zucchini fruit vegetable from my zucchini plants because I live in such a hot, dry climate as southern New Mexico. And here are the extracted zucchini plants that will eventually be going into my compost pile. This is what the zucchini plant root mass or root ball looks like after I've removed it from the bucket. One of my biggest mistakes that I made was adding soil from the yard and mixing it in with the potting soil, and it ended up, the soil from the yard that is, became a root barrier and the zucchini plant could not penetrate through that harder soil, and I had to transplant the zucchini because it was starting to turn yellow. After removing the dirt from the potting soil, I was able to break up the root ball and reuse this potting soil mix. After breaking up the clumps in the potting mix, I was able to re-add it to the 5-gallon bucket. I actually ended up with more potting soil mix than I originally started out with. And this is my final harvest of zucchini for the summer, mixed in with some of the other vegetables that I still have growing in my garden.